All right, let's look at the last component of yesterday's disastrous testimony by Donald Trump in court. We heard both from the prosecutor, Letitia James, as well as Trump's hilarious attorney, Alina Habba. Now, I'm going to play some of Alina Habba's statements to you, statements made to the press. I'm going to play them for you. One of the really important things to understand is that Alina Habba is making these statements outside of the courtroom rather than inside the courtroom, in a place where she is much safer to make them. Important to mention, and here is what she had to say.
It doesn't matter what your politics are. Everyone has a right in this country to get up and put a defense. I don't care who you are. You have a right to hire a lawyer who can put objections on the record. You have a right to hire a lawyer who can stand up and say something when they see something wrong. But I was told to sit down today. I was yelled at, and I've had a judge who is unhinged slamming a table. Let me be very clear. I don't tolerate that in my life. I'm not going to tolerate it here.
All right. Well, she seems to not understand how courtrooms work. I mean, it's sort of a weird comment because judges tell lawyers to sit down all the time. Lawyers often stand to make objections, and judges frequently, I mean, it's not a super rare thing. Judges then get tired of objections or repetitive objections about the same thing, or judges say, I've already ruled on that. Please sit down. Please sit down is so common in courtrooms, but it's almost like she's trying to make herself out to be the victim, which is what Trump tries to make himself out to be, and what Alina Habba tries to make Trump out to be. She's really losing her mind in an incredibly unprofessional way. And remember, she's not saying this stuff inside the courtroom. She's saying it outside of the courtroom on television. She, as we have said before, is far better suited to be a television lawyer than an actual lawyer, as are many of Trump's lawyers, because they have all sorts of different talking points that might sound good on TV, but they aren't legal arguments. And Alina Habba certainly representative of that. We also heard other things from Alina Habba. Let's take a listen.
I'm not here to hear what he has to say. That was what rang true, loud, and could not have been more honest, coming from the judge who has already predetermined that my client committed fraud before we even walked into this courtroom.
Now remember, that's a really important thing. She's trying to make it seem as though the judge somehow prejudged the case before evidence was presented. This was a bench trial. The way it works is the judge, if they feel they have the evidence they need, makes a determination about the facts. We are now looking beyond that in this part of the trial. She's a lawyer and she knows this. I know she's pretending that this is different. She's not actually this dumb. I'm confident that she actually knows this. But she's, again, acting as though the fact that this is a bench trial and that's how it works is somehow fundamentally unfair to Donald Trump. This is really for those who don't know any better. The audience is people who don't know any better, political and partisan actors.
I'm not here to hear what he has to say. Then why exactly am I being paid as an attorney, and why exactly are taxpayer dollars being used in this courtroom? The answer is very clear. Because Miss James wants to stand right here like she did this morning and call my client a liar, call the company fraudulent, and make a name for herself. She said this morning that the numbers don't lie and they won't lie in this case. Well, Miss James, I have a message for you. The numbers didn't lie when you ran for governor, and that's why you dropped out.
So, again, a totally bogus, fallacious argument. Any prosecution you bring must be invalid because you lost a political race? I mean, what does that mean? It's just not an argument. And this is the level on which these folks are thinking. So eventually, after the testimony, we did hear from the prosecutor, the Attorney General, Letitia James. Very different approach, measured, sober, and calm. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Today we heard from Donald Trump in our case against him, other defendants, and the Trump organization. He rambled, he hurled insults, but we expected that. At the end of the day, the documentary evidence demonstrated that, in fact, he falsely inflated his assets to basically enrich himself and his family. He continued to persistently engage in fraud. The numbers don't lie, and Mr. Trump obviously can engage in all of these distractions, and that is exactly what he did, what he committed on the stand today, engaging in distractions and engaging in name calling. But I will not be bullied. I will not be harassed. This case will go on. We look forward to hearing the testimony of Ivanka Trump on Wednesday, and then we plan on closing our case. And then there will be some motions on Thursday, and then the defense will present their case in chief. Justice will prevail, and it's important that all of you understand that we have already been victorious in our motion for summary judgment, and now we look forward to disgorgement and to the remaining counts in our action against Donald Trump and his repeated and consistent fraud against the citizens of the great state of New York.
All right, so that's the final detail I want to end our coverage of Trump's testimony on. The defense has not yet presented its case. One of the genuine curiosities that many legal observers have had, certainly with the upcoming criminal trials, but to some degree with the fraud trial as well, is the question, are Trump's lawyers going to try to make in court the arguments that they're making in the media to defend Donald Trump? Because as far as the criminal trials is concerned, many of those are not really legal arguments. They're not going to fly in a court of law. Trump's lawyers haven't yet started their defense in the civil fraud trial. When they do, we will get our first taste of what it might be like to see Trump lawyers build a defense that may not actually be a legal defense. That'll be next week. If you're someone who ever suffers from nausea, I know a number of people who do. Check out our sponsor, Relief Band. This is the #1 anti-nausea wristband that can quickly relieve and effectively prevent nausea. Many people use Relief Band for nausea from anxiety or from migraines, car sickness, planes, boats. Former producer Lewis can tell you a little bit about car and planes. Relief Band is super simple, fast acting. It'll last as long as you need it to last. It's 100% drug-free, no side effects. And this was originally developed to be used in hospitals. Relief Band's patented technology can turn off the feeling of nausea. It's a type of therapy called transdermal neuromodulation accustimulation. In simple terms, it's just a small band you wear on your wrist, sends a gentle pulse to the part of your nervous system that regulates nausea. There's good research showing Relief Band can help with nausea from motion sickness, pregnancy, from certain medications, and a bunch of studies suggest that Relief Band can help with nausea after surgery in combination with medication. Relief Band has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, over 100,000 satisfied customers online. See if Relief Band can help you kick nausea. Go to reliefband.com, use the code PACMAN at checkout for 20% off plus free shipping. The link is down below.